So this is going to be a video showing how we do a on-site screening test to determine which Floc Log or which Silt Stop Powder is going to work for a soil sample. So with the soil sample, we can test Floc Logs for water clarification. That would be the case if you have a dry sediment basin or you don't yet have water, but you know which soil is going to be contributing to water quality issues in the future, so you can send a soil sample. Or we can use the soil sample if we're looking to do soil stabilization with our Silt Stop powders. So again, we'll need our soil sample and we'll need our sample kit that has our Floc Logs and our Silt Stop powders in it. So when we do our Silt Stop powder for soil stabilization, that test is going to be similar to what we do for our water clarification, but we will be looking at potentially different things. When we do a water clarification test, we are ultimately looking for the best clarity, the best reaction time, and the largest floc size. When we are doing a soil stabilization test, we do the test the same way, but what we're going to be looking for is which of those Silt Stop powders pull the soil particles together the best, because when we're doing a soil stabilization, we want to hold the soil together and hold it on site so that we can prevent erosion. The clarity is not as important as the strength and the ability of the powders to pull the material together. So we'll go ahead and do that. First of all, what we'll do, let's pretend we're doing a water clarification test first. So to prepare this sample, again, it's best to have site water, but if we don't have it, you have a sample of the soil and you can use tap water or distilled water. And we'll go ahead and we'll make a slurry using the water and the site soil. And we'll give that a few seconds. We don't want to be treating liquid mud. We want to be treating turbid water. That's what the Floc Logs are designed for. They are not going to be effective on sediment or soil slurries. Anything over about 4% solids or 40 NTUs needs to be settled or pre-treated before Floc Log use. So again, we're going to use pour that into our 3 different sample cups. We might not need 3. We know that on the last sample, the 706B worked for the water from the same site, so we're going to go ahead and start with the 706B and assume that that'll probably be effective for the soil as well. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit of our 706B in one of the cups. Again, go ahead and start swirling and count the reaction time. And I can see already in this sample, even after 5 to 10 seconds, that this is going to be pretty effective. A lot of times when you have more suspended solids in the water, again, up until a certain point, the Floc Logs can be more effective because there's more material to bind with and form those agglomerates faster and those larger particulates. So this is the 706B. And we can see after even about 15 seconds that that's starting to clear. So we'll go ahead and give it another, 10 or 15 seconds. Again, swirling and not shaking. So this I already know is effective. We can see that there's good floc. It was, less than 30 seconds for that reaction to take place. The clarity looks good, especially after those particulates finish settling. So again, that same log worked on the soil and water as expected. So we don't really need to test the other ones. You can always go ahead. Again, we always start with the 703D number 3, the 706B, and then my next option is usually the 708X. If none of those are having a desired effect, or it's not getting the clarity or the reaction time that's needed, then sometimes what we'll do is we'll actually start trying combinations of the logs. So if the 706B or 703D didn't work by themselves, we can put them together, and sometimes we can get really good results with those 2 formulations combined, and we call that a duplex. So again, this is how we would do a water clarification test using a soil sample. So now let's go ahead and take that same soil sample and we'll go ahead and see which powder would be most effective for soil stabilization for this site. So again, we're going to take a couple of water samples here, and this can have a little more soil in it, just because again we want to see what's happening with the particulates when we do the soil sample. Okay, so we have a range of different powders. If you look in your sample kit, there's the 705, the 710, the 712, the 730, the 740, and then we also have a clarifying powder called Silt Clear. So some of these are a little bit stronger tackifiers and some are designed to be better at clarifying. There's still overlap in whether they can clarify compared to stabilize the soil. But what we would typically start with is if you're looking for more water clarification over bulk soil retention, then you would be wanting to look at starting with the 710 or the Silt Clear if you're looking for water clarification. Now, if we're strictly looking to stabilize the soil, the best place to start would be with our 702, our 705, and the 712. And then if those aren't giving you adequate results, then we can move into the 730 and the 740. But what I'll go ahead and do is start with the 705 and the 712. So there's our 705, and here is our 712. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and give it a little shake and make sure that it is homogenized, because they are powder blends that are optimized for different types of soil. So we're just going to do a very small pinch, just a little bit into the sample. And again, this is just a screening test. This isn't about adequate dosage. It's just determining which of these powders is going to pull the soil together the best. So then we'll go ahead and do a little bit of 705 in this one. And then, we'll go ahead and just add let's go ahead and add the 730 in one as well. And so again, we're going to do the same thing. This one was our 705. We're going to swirl it. And this one, we're not looking for reaction time, but if you watch in the cup and see how fast it reacts, we can get an idea of, how well it's going to work with that soil. This one's already reacting. And if you look, you can see that that's really large floc, and it's pulling together very well. See how it all kind of combines into one side of the cup there. So that is a strong reaction between this polymer and this soil. And you have the benefit of clarity on top. So that would have good soil stabilization as well as probably clarity of runoff on top of the soil. So that one looks really good. That's our 705. So we'll go ahead and check the 712 too. Again, we'll just give it a swirl. This one, again, just like the other one, really fast reaction. It looks like it's binding pretty well. I'm going to come back to that in just 1 minute. We'll do the other one and then we'll compare those and see which one. So this is our 730. So this would be a soil that looks like pretty much everything is going to work on in terms of soil stabilization. But what we'll do is, so after we've done that, we can go ahead and take a look and compare. Again, what we're looking for is floc size and how tightly those particles kind of aggregate together. So it's kind of hard to see, but if we look at these ones, we can see there's kind of some fine particulates outside of where the majority of the floc is formed. This one's maybe a little bit better. And then this one over here doesn't have much at all. So I would say in this case, this looks like it has a little bit larger floc and it doesn't have as much fine particulate outside. And so I would say the 705 here would probably be the best one in terms of soil stabilization. That being said, all of these would likely be effective based on this test. So this was a nice easy soil. Sometimes that's not going to be the case. Sometimes you won't see really any reaction happening with some of the powders, and there might not be any. So that would be how we would do our soil test compared to our water clarification test. And that is that. There should be instructions in the sample kit that you can look at to refer back to as well, or you can always call us at our office 678-494-5998, or send us an email, info@siltstop.com, and we can help walk through samples to make sure that you're getting the right product for your site.